Hello world, how are you doing? I hope you're all great. Yeah, we're here back with another stream, and this time we're going to work on the open focus timer, part 17 already. Yeah, this is the summary of the last stream. We're going to go into that in a second. And yeah, who's there? Say hello if anybody is there in the chat. I think I want to start slowly from now on, like at the beginning of the stream. Maybe there's going to be some people who might want to chat and not diving right into the work. So starting slowly in the future, and come say hi right at the start. And let's have a couple of minutes together just chatting. I also noticed I have made some change to the timer that I'm showing here on the screen. I think I have to move it a little around because my keyboard shortcuts are actually showing exactly at that place, so let me move it somewhere here instead. Reclove, hi from the UK, welcome. How are you doing? How's the weather in your city in UK? Is it rainy? Using all the prejudice that you can have. But yeah, how's your day going? Welcome to the stream. So yeah, we're going to work on the open focus timer, and just let's have a look at what we did last time to recap. So the progress we made. We first worked on some GitHub things. County generated third-party code. Yeah, we fixed the .git attribute. We added the .git attributes file to fix GitHub statistics, to make sure that code that we don't want to have there is not counted. Good. No, lovely and sunny. How are you? I'm great. I think cloudy weather here in Germany, but good weather. It's not that cold. It's not that bad. I'm looking forward to having a walk later after the stream. I always have a walk every day. I think it's a great way to yeah, first give your body some time to chill, some movement. Moving is very important. And I also listen to a podcast. I like to listen to like Swift, John Sundell's Swift by Sundell podcast, or the Stack Trace podcast from him, or other podcasts that are there. There's a lot actually. And it's a great way to like stay in touch with the community by just listening to the podcast, and at the same time I'm having a good time for my body. And it's really chill. I can only recommend that, especially on sunny days. Okay, so what else did we do? Swift format, latest default with changes. Are you a Swift developer, by the way? Are you like a beginner kind of developer? Are you experienced yourself? Rick Love, I'd like to know. I walk the dogs for an hour every day. Yeah, that's the same thing, basically. Yeah, with the dogs, it's even, you have like a not just a reason to walk, you have to walk, right? They're not going to be happy if you don't. Swift format, we set up Swift format actually. We also set up Swift lint, and we fixed many warnings. So if you want to see that, check out this last stream. Then we link the main feature as a window to the app. So we have like a main screen now for the app, or we are planning to have, and we're actually showing that now. Yes, Swift develop with several company apps in App Store. So you work for companies. Are you like a freelancer then? Or with several company apps? Or do you work like for an app agency maybe? Was this like your own apps? You have several companies, maybe that's the case. Implement a basic site loader, that's by sidebar, I mean. So that's part of the main screen, that's what we did. Been developing iOS for 10 years, I see, great. So roughly same time as I do. I started 2011, so it's 11 years by now, and 10 years is not a big difference. So you've been around when Swift was announced. That's like how to measure if you're like there around for a quite long time or not. Then we created a new settings screen. So that's basically what we did. We made some progress on some screens, and I think we're going to continue there. We had written that we want to add a feature to create new categories. I think that makes sense. We want to also fix more warnings. So I always tend to write warnings to remind myself of what else I need to do. And I actually want to do one thing more. because we have set up SwiftLint in Swift format last time. Hello, hello, Very, Novas 101, or Nova Ziri, I think, right? How should I call you, Very or Nova Ziri? How are you doing? How's your day going? Okay, so what I wanted to also add is a Bodyguard script, build script basically, because Bodyguard we have set up for some time ago, but we are not using the build script because we didn't know how to figure that out before, but we figured it out for SwiftLint and Swift format last time, so I think I can figure it out today as well. Finally recovering and back to programming, that sounds great. So you did have COVID then after your 4 days without were hard. How are you? 4 days without coding, that's hard. Okay, when I had COVID, I was 3 weeks without coding, or 2.5 or something, so that was a long time. I'm great, I'm great. I'm looking forward to having a walk later, because the weather in Germany isn't that bad actually. We're getting closer to summer. Yeah, I got completely knocked out. Oh, I see, I see. Like for 4 days you were like having a cold, so completely knocked out, and then now do you still have like coughing or something like that? Is that so probably you can't stream if you have that? Party Crash build script. Yeah, that's basically what we're gonna do. Still have everything. Oh no. Okay, then I wish you a fast recovery. Get healthy soon. Can't stream, no. I look like shit. I don't. Okay. I think you're going to recover soon. It should all be alright. It just takes time. Again, for me it took 3 weeks or something. I hope it's not going to take as long for you. I work for a vessel tracking company and developed a mobile app for the company in my own time, which is now used by thousands of people each day. That's great to hear. Vessel tracking company. I have to actually look that up. What's a vessel tracking? Ah, I see, like, okay. It's like for the logistics industry. In your own time? What does that mean? Is it like, so you sold your app to them? How did that go? Okay, I want to quickly recap some of the things that happened since last stream. A little bit more slowly, as I said, I think you weren't there, Nova Siri. Basically, I'm going to take a little more slowly at the beginning of the stream, just to be more chatty, because I feel like I'm rushing too much in my streams at the beginning. So, yeah, so what happened since last time? So last stream I had already mentioned I was working on a second part of my streaming setup article, and the second part is actually released. I think I released it 1 day later. So if you want to check that out, let me just copy the link here into the chat so you can directly open that. For everyone else watching this, just go to jihad.medium.com and then you should find the article easily. And basically here I'm explaining this, the software setup that I'm using, including the broadcasting software or things like community building, etc. And I was told that this is quite detailed, so this is supposed to be for people who are interested in streaming or just want to know how I'm streaming. So that's one thing. Need to work a little, will be lurking. Yeah, no worries, no problem. The second thing that I had done is Swift Evolution Monthly. Yeah, this is a new newsletter that I had started. Let me actually open the link, semonthly.flyingdev.com. I see I have never opened this in my streams, so let me share that as well. This is a new newsletter that I have started, and it's about Swift Evolution. So if you don't know about Swift Evolution, that's basically where the future of Swift is being developed, and you can see here in the evolution category here that there is a lot of pitches and proposals that are being reviewed, for example, like this, and then you can click on this and you'll see the whole new feature that is planned for Swift, and you can read it. And you can also, if you go back, this one, for example, is currently being reviewed. So you can just give feedback and then they change it. So you can basically help building the future of Swift. And I do write a newsletter now that basically summarizes what happened within the last month. And yeah, if you want to follow that, I just wrote another article and published the second one yesterday. You can also read it on my blog. So 2 ways looking into that. Then always my Twitter, basically I'm posting whenever I learn something during my, I'm not just streaming developing, that's just on Fridays. All the other time I'm also developing all the time when I don't write articles. So I do have some learnings all the time. For example, I shared when I watched a new episode from Point Free. So Point Free are creating episodes, and there was a free episode on regular expressions and their parsing library. And I learned a few things there, so I shared about that. And I also linked to something. So yeah, follow me on Twitter if you don't already. I developed the app as I thought it would be good for me to understand the backend APIs. And the management loved it, so I productionized it and we gave to clients. By my own time, I developed it during my journey on the train each day. Okay, so you are working for a vessel company, and they were not like, they didn't say like, we want an app that you write. You just said like, hey, we should actually have an app for that, for our products. And you did have a backend API. You wanted to understand that better, so you developed a mobile application to understand your backend API better, and at the same time provide a new app for your customers, I guess. And then they loved it, and they are they now officially supporting it and making marketing for it, or is it just like online and it's like a third-party app for them? Look at marinetraffic.com, it's very similar. You can send me a link, I can have a look then. Marine traffic, something like this. Oh, I see. Wow, sounds like a really complicated app, to be honest. So you're working a lot with maps then, I guess. But that's a cool website, by the way. Is it using the same API that you use? So you can track, like, so when there was the problem with the Suez Canal, could you see here like all the ships that were waiting, like here or there? Wow, look at this. That's crazy. You can see how the world is connected. Let's have a look at Japanese Sea here. So they're mostly connected with, I guess the ships are just passing by. Wow, that's crazy. Can I also see the route when I click on one of them? Like where they come from? Not sure. Anyways, that's cool. Lots of maps and satellite data. Yes, officially supported by company now. That's cool to hear. That's always a great thing. Now let me catch this Pokemon. Great. Yeah, so that's my Twitter. Yes, but ours is more complicated and uses a lot of private data. I see. Even more complicated. Crazy. So last thing I want to note is my YouTube channel. We have 53 subscribers by now. Flying Dev. That's the name of the company that I'm going to create. You can't share that. Okay, yeah, no worries. And this is Party Crouch. So one thing that happened also within the last week is I renamed my company on GitHub. That means it was called Flying Soft before, and now it's called Flying Dev, like I plan to have my company name. And that means that you will find a new link now. But if you were using Flying Soft before, like if you had any, like I have multiple libraries, for example, Handy Swift, Handy UI Kit. If you were using one of them, everything should still continue working with the old link because GitHub redirects everything. But if you just want to be sure that you always have the correct one, you might want to correct it also to Flying Dev. But that's that with the updates. I think I want to start now. And we are going to work now on the open focus timer. And actually, I want to reset this flow timer, because I think now is the time we're actually starting. Cool, so what do we want to do? Let me first copy these things here. And create a new summary for today's stream. This is going to be open focus timer, part 17, today. Jinx escaped, no one caught it. Oh no. I tried to catch it, I don't know what happened. Anyways, next steps. So this is what we're going to work on now, and I just want to start it right away. So let's have a look at our app right now. Let's just run it. And I actually learned something new that we can use. So you can, in Xcode, go into behaviors, and you can actually change how Xcode is behaving when you do specific things. For example, when you start a build, as you can see, there's no check mark here because nothing is happening there. But I actually want you viewers to know whenever I click the build, because you can only see it at the top here usually, but I want you to see it better. So I'm just going to add notify using bezel or system notification. So now it's just going to show a notification whenever I press build. And I want to do the same for when I press test and when I press run. What else do we have? I think that's fine. Another thing that I like to change is whenever a new issue is generated, it always opens up this sidebar here, even if I closed it explicitly. And I actually want to turn that off, so I'm just going to open it myself whenever I need to. Yeah. When success or fail happens, I want to get notified. When it pauses, then I want to see the bottom area. That does make sense. When running starts, when running pauses, I want to see the debug area. That also makes sense, but not whenever output is generated. So whenever something is put out here, it automatically opens up, and I just actually don't want to have that because yeah, I want to focus on my code usually. So that's the changes I want to make. I think that's going to help because when I click run now, you're going to see build started, and that's the new thing here. So it should be more clear now what I'm doing. Oh, and the flow notification is kind of out of your view. So let me move that a bit up. Yeah, that's better. Cool. So the app's running, and when I close this, and if I close also the sidebar, you shouldn't see it. So this is what the app looks like right now, the main view, the sidebar and the main content. We do have a timer window, so that is kind of working, but we are going to work on the sidebar and main content for now. So let's focus on that. And we did write that we want to add a new category creation feature inside of here, but I actually want to go first and do this Bodyguard script setup. So let me just open the sidebar. And we have set up last time that whenever we build that, we're going to run Swift format and we're going to run Swift lint as well. I'm just going to copy this because that's basically how also body crouch is going to work. Just adding a new build script, calling it body crouch. And as a reminder, body crouch is just a tool that helps you translate your app without leaving Xcode. So you can translate without leaving Xcode, and we're going to use that because I have added some strings without translating them. So SwiftLint, this is calling SwiftLint. We want to call body crouch instead. I want to call body crouch update first, and I want to call body crouch lint as well. And we can actually have a look at the docs. And if we click build script here, you can see the build script, and I can actually probably copy and paste and just use that instead. Looks like about the same. Not installed. I like to rephrase this. I think I'm calling it C, just C, instead of downloaded. That's about it, I think. Bodyguard update -X just make sure that the output format is in a format that Xcode can show here in the warnings. With that done, let's actually use free spaces like everywhere else. And we also want to move body crouch up a bit. We want to make sure that it's being run, I think, before any formatting happens. So we want to translate first. And part of body crouch, setting up body crouch, we should also set up Swift gen. So if we just look at how things are configured right now, just by running Swift gen, this is going to be run. And I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work because we had a path problem before. We had to actually pass. Oh, this seems to work. Lint recursive sources tests. How does this know that it should run from like outside? I think this might actually not work right now, because as you can see the configuration is outside. Swift format, let me fix that. So we have Swift format, help. So we can run lint. Let's get the help for the lint command. We can provide paths, okay. Configuration, we can provide a configuration file like this. Let's do that. Because the configuration file actually lies outside at Swift format.json. Swift format.json. And then these other paths could actually work, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's just check. So if I ran from, let me see where we are, from within Open Focus Timer. Oh, Megan Wilson, thank you very much for raiding. Monsieur B, welcome to the stream. Ver Ureo, also welcome to the stream. How are you all doing? How was your stream, Megan? How have you been doing? How was your stream? Hi. Welcome, welcome. Sevens is also here. Hello. It was good. Great to hear that. So, what did you work on? Did you work on freelance project, or did you actually work on something that you where you talked also? So, was it a chatty stream, or was it a more co-working stream? How was everyone else doing? How are you doing, Monsieur B, Jeremy? And there's another Pokemon, so you can catch Pokemon in this stream if you're interested in that. Worked on some stuff I could show and was chatty. Got a new beta out for an app. Wow, that's a great news. That's great news. I'm also looking forward to releasing a beta for my app. But that's great news. So can we take part in that beta somehow? Or does it even make sense that we take part? Is it a very specific app, or can we actually do something there too? So I was just in the process of setting up body crouch and SwiftGen build scripts here. Traveling for Italy during the weekend, I'm pretty good. Wow, that sounds nice. So the pandemic is officially over for you now, Jeremy, right? Traveling to Italy. Which part of Italy? South Italy? Middle, like Rome, or more Sicilia? What's the place you were planning to go? Or maybe Florence with the great ice cream there? Mikaela Karen, welcome. Thank you very much. Hi, how are you doing? Props doesn't make too much sense. It's a niche app, but I can drop a link still. Yeah, make sure that you drop a link so everyone who's interested, check out Megan's app, beta app. Definitely make sure to do that. So we were just fixing the paths here because Swift format, because basically, just to explain that, my project is set up in a way that this is the root of my repository, and then I have a folder called Open Focus Timer, and the Xcode project file lies in here. So whenever I run the build scripts here, it's going to run on that level because the project is there. And the problem is my configuration file is outside, though it's at the root level, so I have to point to that like this: configuration ... to go one level up. in the folder, and then I can specify this. But I'm not sure if I have to also put dot dot like this here or not. And I'm just going to test it out. Thank you for following, Michaela Karen. Thank you very much. Off for 2 weeks will be really good. 3 days in Venice. Wow. During the Biennale of Art, then Trieste, close by the Slovenian border. I don't know, Trieste probably is what you mean, something like that. What's the Biennale of Art? Let's check that out. Ah, I see. Cool, wow. Venice is such a nice place, right? You can like go everywhere on a boat. You have to actually go in some places on a boat. So sounds like a fun time. Have a fun time, Jeremy. This is my app iHawk. It's a controller for a Hawk lighting console. Yeah, let me quickly open the website. So this is Megan's app. It's yeah, controller for Hawk lighting. If you have anything like that, make sure to test their app. But going back to this part here, let me try and find out if this is actually working if I run it like this. Unable to open sources, files not readable or does not exist. Yeah, I think it is actually that I have to put dot dot slash everywhere. Dot dot slash dot dot. Oh, in this case actually I can get rid of this because I am already in that folder. I can just say app dot dot slash. Yeah, that's basically how it should be. Let's copy this. Jeremy, when are you streaming? Are you still streaming in the mornings? And Megan, I noticed recently when I quickly had a look in your stream that your time was, I think, something like 9:30 p.m. when it was, for me, it was like 4 a.m. in the morning. So are you actually living somewhere in the US? Did you move? I thought you were somewhere here in Europe, like in, I don't remember where, but that was what I had in mind. Maybe I just got that wrong, mixed up things there. Swift format, this should work now, so this should be fixed. I'm in Texas. Ah, cool. So I just know one city in Texas, and that's Austin. I don't know anything else. I know that Texas is like somewhere in the middle of the US, but I have never been there. Is it a place I should be visiting sometime when I'm in the US? Like next time I fly to DC in California, maybe I should make a stop there. Yes, I was there on Tuesday, but I couldn't this Thursday, so next one will be in 2 weeks now. Like the next stream is in 2 weeks? Yeah, after your vacation, of course, makes sense. And the white monkey appeared. Let me try to catch it now. Didn't work before. I've always been in Texas. I used to stream a lot in the morning, my time, which lines up with your... I see. Okay, that makes sense. So now you're streaming in the evenings, and then it's hard for me to watch, but yeah, you have different people watching that. Oh, I don't have a ball. Okay, let me check that out. So let's go. Where's that window? Disappeared. Where's my window? Let's go there. And open this thing here. So I need to buy where's the shop? Is this the shop? I have timer ball, ultra ball. I could throw an ultra ball. Poke catch, ultra ball. Texas is alright. I'm probably the only Texan without lots of Texas pride. Huh. I get that. So it's a little bit like Turkey. Like I have grandparents are coming from Turkey, and everybody in Turkey has pride about Turkey. You live in Austin, actually. That's cool. So there's this YouTuber. His name is, I think, John or something. I don't quite remember, but the channel's name is just. Let me just show you. I think his name is John because His channel is called Austin John Plays, and I like to follow that person because yeah, they create great content about Nintendo related stuff basically, and Pokemon related in particular, and I'm a fan. So yeah, that's how my only connection that I had before to Austin, but now I know 2 people from Austin. Yes, I caught Mankey, that's great. But I have to go to the shop and buy a bit more. Pokeballs, how many can I buy? Remaining money, 5,000, so let's buy 10. Cool. So with that out of the way, back to the script fix here. So this script should work now properly, and we have to do something similar here. So let's see if we can find any help for body crouch. And we want to get help for the lint command. So we can provide a path here. So we can say something like body crouch lint. And can we do the same for update as well? Yeah, in both cases we can provide a path. Specifies a different path than the current to run from there. Let's do that. Let's just say -p dot dot -p dot dot. Let's see if that works also. Like this. Body requires 2 checks pass for 4 strings files. Sounds about right. Do I need to provide the I don't know if I have to provide, but let's just try it out with this. So this is how I'm running body crouch in this project now. And I want to run also SwiftGen. So let's just copy this. Let's just call it SwiftGen. And it's important to run SwiftGen after body crouch because body crouch adds new stuff to the localizable strings file. And SwiftGen from that file generates Swift files. So just changing that to SwiftGen. And in the case of SwiftGen, we just need to run SwiftGen without anything. Although I think we need to, again, provide a path to the configuration file. See if we get any help. SwiftGen. Let's just say run. No. Okay, I'm not really sure how we can pass anything. I guess we need to read the documentation on GitHub. So how can I pass a config file? SwiftGen config init, okay. It's using this file by default, I get that too, but how can I pass specific? Lastly, you can use, yeah, choosing your template. Isn't it documented? Let's search for path. Okay, I can't really find it documented here, but I'm sure I can find it in the code. So it should be in the command line interface. Maybe here. Name, template folder, path description. Not really. Configuration, config, lint, run. Verbose, logger. I don't see how we can specify a specific path to run from. That is so interesting. So how can I run SwiftGen on a different path or specifying a specific configuration file? I'm not really sure, but I think I'm going to use a trick here like we did last time. So we already had ln. We already used ln like link to create a symbolic link from one path to another I think I'm going to just do the same, lm-s, and I think, I don't remember the order, but maybe we can just say -help. Source file, target file. So we just say lm-s. The source file, is it the one we want to create? I'm still not sure. So create a symbolic link. macOS. Original and path to link. Okay. So the original file is this here, and it's swiftgen.yaml. And the one we want to create is just right here. And it's also being called swiftgen.yaml. I think that's it. So what we did now is we created a file that is just redirecting to the other file, and now you should be able to just run this without any changes. Although I'm not really 100% sure if it's going to get the relative paths then. Let's just try this out. I'm just not sure. Not found. Yeah, it's because the path on the config file here, this is relative to the root of the project. That's too bad. Are they all inside sources? Yeah. How can I solve this? Isn't there a way to provide a path to SwiftGen to run from? Config path, maybe? Source path. So I can run the config. Input directory, output directory is source path. Config from path. So it has an initializer that receives the file. The question is when that gets called. So let's look for config file. Like this. I'm not sure. Maybe we can just change directory here. Is that does that work? Something like that. Let me actually run this and see what happens. Build start, but I'm building the macOS app. Let's switch to the iOS app. Build started, and something failed. Signing requires development team. Okay, that's fair enough. Let's just switch to a simulator. Does this actually work? Okay, fails. Settings is unavailable. Okay, but it seems like this is working. No, writing the file as content is unchanged. Nice. Maybe we can do the same for the others as well, then it could simplify things quite a bit. Like instead of providing the path here, just say change directory ... and maybe we can actually run these after each other. Does that work? It says Bodyguard, no, okay, indented by 1 spaces. That's Swift format. So everything seems to work. And maybe I can even try the same here. Change directory, just go one up. Then I don't have to provide this. I can get rid of these. Actually, I can remove this. And this can be turned back. Open focus timer slash app. Let me rerun. We'll see if it works. If we don't see any warnings now, it doesn't work. And it looks like there is no warnings. Oh, unreadable package.swift file. Oh, it's not readable, does not exist. What does it mean? I don't get it. The format, recursive. I think we wanted to actually just run. Okay, let me go back here. So we're changing. Oh, I'm missing the lint. That's too bad. Lint. That's what we want to do. There we go. It does work. So we can just change the directory. That's cool to know. That simplifies code quite a bit. So we can also go here instead. In this case, I think the path like this is fine. Although let's streamline everything and just use the same everywhere. We'll copy everything over, but for now this is the iOS one, Swift lint, Swift format, Swift gen, and body crouch. This is looking alright. So this is also the order. Bodyguard first, Swift gen next. And we should of course change the Swift gen link. We are already in that repo. That's the link. Okay, we can copy this. Swift gen. Same with body crouch. Let's move it above Swift gen. And let's also copy these with format changes. And same with Swift lint. There we go. So now we can actually also run the macOS app, and we should see the same warnings. Init by 1 spaces. Okay, it does not know which file it is though. That's weird. I think that's because of the path. I don't know if I can fix that. So the warning paths are not directly from the project's root. That's why it doesn't work. Can I fix this? Probably. Maybe I should move all these configuration files inside the app folder just to make this all work from build scripts as well. Probably that's the better way to go. So let's do that. So Swift lint, Swift gen, Swift format. Do I need to move all of them? I guess so, because they're all creating from reporting from that path. So we should make that path relative to the project. So let's just move everything inside here. Let's show the hidden files as well. But there's nothing important there. Maybe the body crouch tumble file, we should also relink that. So I'm moving it all inside. Oop, what just happened? Oh yeah, that's replace. That was the redirection file. Also, we haven't created a redirecting file for body crouch yet, so I want to create that as well. And for now, I'm just going to move this inside of here. And this too. Or actually, yeah, let's move them. Are they still correct? So I'm not entirely sure if they are correct, but we're going to recreate everything. So this one I'm going to rename bodycrouch.toml. And actually the tool is called bodycrouch. And we're going to create a link to bodycrouch.toml, just using .bodycrouch.toml. Where did I create that now? Oh, I am in the root folder. That's not what I wanted. Let's go to Open Focus Timer. Let's rerun. Now we have this. These two, I'm not sure if they're correctly linking, so I'm going to recreate them. .swift format and .swiftlint. Oh yeah, let's start with .swift format. Swift format. I'll make it .swift format. And same with swiftlint. .swiftlint.yaml. There we go. Bodycrouch with formats with YAML. And now this should show up in Xcode. This should show up in Xcode. This is all right. Now, having them all set up like that, they should all show up in here. They don't right now. Now we have these root files. Okay. Let me close this and reopen. They're not going to show out automatically here. Let's create a new group without a folder. Let's call them config files. And the config files are... Actually, I don't need these to be linked that way, I think. Yeah, let's just use the hidden files then. I have to link them explicitly anyways. So yeah. What format? Maybe I do want to keep them because they have the better endings. Okay, so the format, this one, this one, this one, this one. They all... And also the bodycrouch config file. Let's add them here. Not copying, not linking. So now I can configure them directly in here. Oop, I forgot to catch the Pokemon and escaped already. But wait. Several people tried to catch it and it didn't work. I guess we have to sometimes throw Ultra Balls and things like that. We can't always get them with Pokeballs, so just saying Pokecatch doesn't work. We can say Pokecatch Ultra Ball, and I should throw an Ultra Ball, for example. So let's go in here and let's fix the paths now, because all paths now are basically ... Except for this one, like this. Excluded. Like that. Same here. And here I guess I'm providing them in the command line, but same here. The only question is if these tools can actually handle a ... but we'll see. And these ones actually I don't have to. I could just say app. Same here. What else do we have? This one here. Okay, let's see if that works. Do we still have our links? Yes, yes, yes. Let's try. Let's try what happens. I'm building. No input files found. That's not good. No localizations extracted. That's not good. I think I have to change the paths here too. Yeah, no change directory needed anymore. That's the point. No problem, I guess. Because I moved everything inside here. And the paths are not correct anymore. Maybe in this case, no. I have to provide them like this. Except for this. And Swift links. Let's try again. See what we're getting. So this is working now. Bodyguard seems not to work. Starting 2 checks before that works, and no localizations extracted from code in directory // sources. Yeah, that doesn't have to be a bug. So where does it say this is not correct? Indent by 1 spaces, 2 spaces, 4 spaces. I have set up 3 spaces, so maybe the path to the config file isn't correct now. Swift format. I'm running it directly in the directory. It should pick up the file here. I do have this file, yeah, it should pick it up. Lots of small changes here. So the file was actually called Swift -format, and it's now here. That looks alright. It points to Swift format JSON, which is this file. I don't get it. So if I run this here, yeah, it does show all these warnings. Ah, it's in this package Swift file. Oh, is the package Swift file not formatted properly yet? It is. Why is it showing all those warnings? So, unindent by 3 spaces. Why though? I don't get that. But it's showing the same everywhere. Indentation, unindent by 1 spaces. Swift format, help. Swift format, I'll int help So maybe we do have to specifically provide the config file. Let's try that. So I'm going to say configuration, and it's Swift format.json. I'm still getting them. But now I'm only getting them in the strings file. Before, I was getting them in more places, right? Yeah, so the config file being passed does help. I don't understand why that's necessary if that has a default path, but anyhow, let's add it. Build again. Okay, in this Swift, in this file, I want to actually basically disable it. How can I ignore this file? I think I can just say Swift format disable, something like that. How was that? Swift format disable. It's not properly documented in here. Disable rule. So I can basically say this here, and that's what I want to say. I have to go to the SwiftGen standstill. I mean, I could do that, and this should work, but it will be regenerated, and then it disappears. How can I fix this? And the sources, resources, SwiftGen. So I want to ignore this specific file in Swift format. Swift format lint help. Ignore unparsable files. There is no ignore files. That's too bad. Okay, how can I skip it anyways? Sources, resources. Okay, it looks like I have to copy the SwiftGen template. There's no around it. SwiftGen. I think it's documentation templates. Let me try to get that XC assets. So 5. So let me go to the config file I have here, which is SwiftGen, and it's using structured Swift 5 for localizable strings. So to go to sources, SwiftGen kit, standstill, no, it's not here. SwiftGen maybe? No, it's not here either. Looking for the templates. CLI, templates, there we go. So it has a template for strings files called structured Swift file, and this is what we want to copy. Let's create an empty file. Going to name it SwiftGen strings.standstill. Let's just copy this in. Let's just sort this. And similar to this one here, I'm going to create that. And for the XC assets one, I am using 1 to 3 spaces. So maybe I can just provide 3 spaces here too. So whenever there's 2 spaces, let me mark every appearance of 2 spaces in this file. What is that? Is that not 2 spaces? There's also 2 spaces. That's weird. Let me use search and replace. So I'm searching for 2 spaces. I'm replacing it with 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. That should help. SwiftGen strings. Just provide a template path. And we can see we pass public access to and bundle this thing here, but I think the params should still work. So let me try to rerun that. Tablet found, SwiftGen strings stencil. Is there a typo? SwiftGen strings.stencil, not really. SwiftGen strings.stencil. Let me show in Finder. Yeah. Oh no. That's not where it should be. It should be here instead. Yep. Okay, let's rerun. So it's still telling me indent by 1 spaces. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, some places still not working properly. Let's try to find them and fix them too. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let me see what the changes are actually in that strings file. So it is creating extra spaces. That's cool. I think I'm just going to say here, SwiftLint disable all, exactly, and what was the name? We had it open here, Swift format. Okay, ignore rule, disable rule. Here it was, like this. Let's just add that. Let's regenerate. Cool. Works as expected. And we might want to do the same here, by the way. Although SwiftLint, I am ignoring these files already. So we actually don't need any SwiftLint calls here. Let's see where we have SwiftLint. No need for these. Okay, let's regenerate. So a lot has changed here. Where's this? Okay, these are the generated files. I'm adding this new line, and here I'm adding this and removing all the SwiftLint stuff, which should work fine. In the assets file, okay. So then I moved all these things around. Let me stage them, because then it sees which files were just moved. Now we're making a break, so I'll be checking the commit right after the break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's continue. We were just checking the commits here. Start at the bottom. So SwiftGen YAML file has been moved here. Changed so much that it thinks it's a new file. These two we have checked, looking good. Then these are just moved. This is also changed. The paths were corrected. That looks nice. Looking good here. So one more file I want to check, and that's the build script file. Let me go here, because the build script is running the same commands, but different paths are provided here because I run them from the root, and this one should be fine. This one too. SwiftLint actually, I think, has to be run from the right path, so I might just want to change the directory here to open focus timer, and then run these two commands from inside there. But SwiftGen also needs to be run from there. Do we need to run SwiftGen first? Not necessarily. Let's just do it this way. And SwiftGen should actually be run after bar crouch. Okay, this should work in theory. Let me try and see what happens if we do run it. So we're finding a lot of errors here in category selector. Indent using one tab or free spaces. Yeah, I think the configuration file needs to be provided here as well, explicitly. Let's do that. I meant here. Open focus timer slash. Or we just move this. Yeah, we just move this inside there as well. So I'm just going to move that in here. And then we should add the file here. And let's edit that file now again. So let me remove. Well, let's just run the same things as we do in the build script. No need for changing directory. Bodyguard SwiftGen coming first, then Swift format and SwiftLint. So body crouch, SwiftGen, Swift format, SwiftLint. Body crouch, SwiftGen, Swift format, SwiftLint is the same. And if we run it, oh, I think these paths need to be fixed now. And we have them twice, so let me just go like this. Slash. Okay, this should work. Let me run that again. And this time I'm just running the open focus timer. Oh, what's happening? Oh, open focus timer slash build script. Why is that not working? Okay. Okay, no input files found for Bodyguard update. Something's wrong with Bodyguard's paths. SwiftGen.yaml not found. Seriously? But it does work here. Yeah. Looks like we have to actually go into the directory and run it from there. Oh goodness. Should be opening brace. So there seem to be some violations with Swift links. Do I get them here? Not really. Color parameter position in the main feature reducer. Line 4. Main feature. Reducer. Main feature reducer. We're not seeing any warnings here. Ah, now I get it. Closure parameter position. Makes sense. So I should be getting more warnings now. One from body crouch, so I'm going to take over now. Multi-line brackets violation. Most arguments should have their surrounding brackets in a new line. Yeah, absolutely. But do we really need multi-lines here? Not really. Yeah, like this. What else do we have? Let's put it in one line. What's going on now? What just happened? Let me reopen the project. What? I didn't do anything. Whoa. The whole project got deleted. Wait. Things were changed, although I didn't want them to. Okay. We're getting into troubles here. These are the changes I want to keep. Not these though. And this is definitely something I don't want. So let me reset this file. Discard changes. Let's try to reopen. And these root files I can actually now remove. Okay. That's crazy stuff going on. Build again. Okay, these are my own warnings. They look fine. Although this one, I want to definitely make sure that this gets fixed. No extract, no localizing extract from code in directory sources. But these ones here. I want to keep all these changes. So I think, yeah, the problem lied in the build script. So I think this one here did too much autocorrection. Sources, tests, app, package, in place, configurations with format JSON. See what happens if I do this without running in place. So we are inside the right folder, I think so. And I'm going to run this not in place. Okay, this doesn't really help. Let's run this linter instead. Okay, so nothing gets reported, which is great. Then why does this replace so much? Look at that. I'm running it. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so now it works as expected. Cool, so restructure, add body crouch build script. And we haven't completed because we just did that for macOS, everything. Let's copy everything over to iOS as well. Swift gen, Swift format, Swift lint. Now everything should be fine. So add Bodyguard build script and fix all other build scripts. Other build script paths, basically. No such file, yeah. One more thing we need to fix, because we have a pre-commit hook and it's trying to run the build script file that we have written. But it doesn't exist at that position anymore. And caught a wimpot, cool. So the pre-commit hook looks like this. I think I want to change directory to open focus timer here. And then run this. Let's try if that works. Seems to work, and I can now push this, I guess. So that's cool. We have now finally Bodyguard working again. Let's apply it. So let me see if I have any strings that should actually be translated. How can I find them? Let's use a regular expression. I'm searching for opening, then something, and then closing. And we have a lot of them, of course, that are correct and fine. But we want to search for maybe with text. Yeah, escaping that opening one. So yeah, we have something called sidebar, but that's a replacement of this one though. So this is also a slightly more complicated one, but this is something we should definitely translate. So we're saying string format minutes. Okay, maybe we don't have to translate this one here. But this one here, edit summary. So we have the edit summary button, and this should be translated. Let's translate it. I'm just going to say bodycrouch.translate. We're going to use the key. Let's see what our localizable keys look like right now. So we're using it that way. And we're talking about timer here. Timer dot edit summary button title. Edit summary button, I would say. Dot title. And we do support English where it is edit summary. I believe we also support German. How should we phrase that? It's a longer one, but that's the correct one. And then I can just build, and now Bodyguard should replace this file if everything was set up correctly. And it was, so it replaced it with L10N timer edit summary button dot title. And this way we have never left this file, except for looking up the key, but we have never really left this file, and Bodyguard has actually done a lot of work for us, which is adding this to the strings file, adding this also to the other strings file, and it has the right translations already. Then SwiftGen generated this public enum, and Bodyguard replaced our text here that we wrote, bodyguard.translate, with this call, and everything is safely accessed. This is what Bodyguard does. So do we have anything else? Oh, we have the same here, so we can now just say L10N.timer. Edit summary button.title, it's the same. And we have edit categories too, so let's add that. It's timer, edit categories, button.title. Edit categories. Actually, I think it's probably translated like this, and I'm building. Again, it should replace the call, and it did, and everything worked. Do we have anything else not translated? Nope, everything's translated. And sometimes this happens, but actually it is building fine. Xcode just doesn't recognize the text right away, and the change right away of the created enum. So, do we have anything else that's not translated? So we have the main feature. Let's just have a look at, we just were in the timer view. Do we have a reflection view? There's no strings here as far as I can see, and they are translated already. Do we have category selector? Any strings here? Yeah, we have a close here, so let's translate that as well. Why is this not working? Come on. Okay, it says it's not available in this context. I'm guessing because Bodyguard is in resources and we don't have resources imported here. Let's do that. So we are in category selector. Let's import resources. Resources. Now we should be able to say Bodyguard.translate. I'm just going to use global action close because we might reuse it in other places. There we go. Nothing else to be translated. But we are showing the category name. Okay, these are user given values, so that shouldn't be a problem to localize them. Do we have anything unlocalized here? Do we have anything with a display name? We do. Okay, so we have settings tabs with a display name, and this should be translated as well. So settings, we need to import resources. Now we can just write body crouch dot translate, and I guess this is a model thing. So a lot of this is settings. Settings dot general tab. Is that a tab? I think so. Dot title. This is one, and you can do multiple, and you don't have to build after each change. You can, for example, do this. Settings dot, this is the categories tab. Now I can build, and when I build now, both should be replaced by the L10N call. As expected. Where else do we have something that needs translation? Reflection feature, no translations here. I think that's it. If we find anything else, we can still translate it later. Let's just run the app and see if everything works together. Run started, cool, icon there. Okay, this works. Our timer window also works, and everything is localized. Finished first version of app icon. Actually, let me see if those texts are localized. Finished first. Yeah, it's localized text. Nice. And if I change the language to German now, just to show that, so I just go to edit scheme, and I just make sure that it runs in German locale. We get everything in German, except for like these things here, but if I just say start, task type and project are the events we created ourselves. We get everything in German, Cool, that works. Let's set that back to our system language. Nice. Actually, I personally would, when I was developing not in the open here, where most viewers are going to speak English, I would actually privately use German for the app, because then in coding I'm always like using English, and whenever something English comes up in the UI when I actually use it, I immediately know that something is not localized. So that's also one way to make sure everything is localized. Great. So what we did is apply or translate non-translated strings using body crouch, and with format corrected a small issue. There we go. Okay, nice. So that was a lot of work just for getting this small thing done. But we didn't only did that. We fixed the build script, added Bodyguard build script, plus fixed path issues with other build scripts. So one problem was when running multiple command line tools didn't have a proper way to run from a different path. So you had to fix that by moving everything into the app. Keep config files of command line tools on save folder as Xcode project file. I think that's definitely a good tip to always follow that. Although now I'm thinking about it, maybe we can still use linking for that. So what I did now, let me clean that up. What I did now is I added this config files thing here. Although all these files could be at the root of the project, and I could just create a symlink from there to the right files, and I think that's what I want to do. So, oh, it marked all those files, that's cool. So I want to move these files up into the root path. Because then the cool thing is that they will automatically show up in here. So if I, there you go. So they're automatically showing up here because this is a Swift package and Xcode can automatically show files from a Swift package folder. So I no longer need this here. Instead, I have to create symlinks for each of these. Let's do that. So I'm going to the terminal, going to the open focus timer subfolder, and in here, these are the files that we have so far, so Swift format and things like that. I actually want to delete the ones that I already have. So Bodyguard, Swift format, Swift lint. Instead, let's recreate them. And we're using link, symbolic link, original file lies on one folder up, and let's start with, let's just go here and let's start with bodycrouch. So it's called bodycrouch.toml, and I want to create it as .bodycrouch.toml. Next, Swift format. Swift, I think it's Swift format, and I want to call it Swift minus format. Then we have Swift lint. And we just want to call it .swiftlint.yaml. This one is now moved away. The stencils are moved away. That's, I think, fine too. Is it? I think I should symlink them as well, just to be sure. So Swift gen xe assets, just gonna call it Swift gen xe assets.stencil. And that's the same with strings. Okay. The build script, same thing there, I guess. And Swift format, the JSON, Swift gen. This could work. Let's see if it does work. Let's build. Okay, it says Swift gen YAML not found. Let's check that. Swift gen.yaml. Ah, I forgot Swift gen. Yeah. Swift gen swiftgen.yaml. Let's try again. Unable to find Swift format.json. Yes. Actually, this shouldn't be needed. Although, you know what? I'm going to call the Swift format config files with format.json here too. And that means we can remove this one. Okay. About all config files. Just be sure that everything works. Let's test crouch.translate hello world. Just want to be sure that this still works. Should be replaced in a second. There we go. Okay, it does work. Of course, we don't want to make these changes. Discard. But move out all config files from add there using symlinks. Cool. A lot of work again for this little thing, but we have also fixed other build scripts and it's going to help us in the long run. Add feature to create new categories. That's the next thing we want to tackle. So let's get on to work with SwiftUI actually. And we have the main feature view here. And we have a category selector in the timer view. And we want to now create a new view that's going to be about we have these linked here. We no longer need this whole thing. Remove references and root files. We have the git ignore. You know what, let's just remove that as well. I think that should be part of the last commit. Okay, back to work. So we want to create something new here, and let's see if we have settings in the app as well. I think we do. Yeah, so we have settings with categories, and basically we want to create this view now. So let's do that. So currently we are showing from within here settings, the settings view. So we have a settings view, but we don't have the category settings yet. So basically what we want to do is we want to create a new folder. I'm going to call it settings categories. And in here we basically need those 3 files. Just going to rename everything. So that's going to be settings categories reducer. Settings categories, state and action. Oh no, melodic, and I couldn't catch it. I was too late. Ah, too bad. Yeah, changing these things here up. settings, categories. And I think next stream I might actually set up a script to streamline this a little bit, because I'm always copying things here. Or we might actually do that now. Why not? Okay, so I had mentioned in a previous podcast a link, I hope it's there in the notes, to a generation file that I'm using. Is it linked here? So I talked about it. Yes, it's here. Oh no, it's not that. Here it is. Okay, so this is a script file I have created for myself. And basically what it does is you can run this, and using as a tool named SwiftSH to make sure that you can run Swift code as a script, basically. And when you run this, it just basically reads the inputs, and you can see there is some things that are mentioned that you can do here. And I have specified like a kind of things that you can generate. And basically I have specified the content of my files that I want to generate, and at the end what it does is just creates those files for you. So I'm just going to copy this, just copy the whole contents, and I'm going to create a generate file. So yeah, these are the things that exactly we don't want to do by hand. So I'm just going to discard these changes. Instead, we're going to add a new generate file to the root of our project. Say new file. Did it add it to the root? I hope so. Let's call it generate.swift. Let me just check. Yes, it's at the root. Cool. So this file is at root now. First thing we need to do is make sure that we have SwiftSH installed. So I'm just going to check that which SwiftSH, and we do have it installed. I can also say brew upgrade SwiftSH just to make sure I'm on the latest version. And I have to fix this thing here first. So let's upgrade SwiftSH. And this can take a while. But I already have the latest version, so SwiftSH is fine. Next thing I want to do actually also on the command line is I want to make that generate file executable. And I do this by changing the mod, adding +x, so we're making an executable to the generate.swift file. Now it's an executable file. Let's edit that file a little bit. So it is depending on files, handy Swift, and things like that. So it is using a few imports here. And as you can see, I actually get usage instructions. So if I just say, let me reset this. So if I just say /generate.swift, it will actually first build everything, because I'm running this the first time. It has to fetch those dependencies that I specify at the top of the file, like here. This is how you can specify dependencies in a script file using SwiftSH. And it is going to build. This is going to take a little bit the first time, but then with the caches, it shouldn't be a problem. So if I run it again, you see I immediately get, okay, Swift driver version, wrong number of arguments expected 2 got 0. Run like this, /generate, and then I basically have to put the kind and then the name. So I can put the kind. It says the kind is one-off, and then it just supports package for now. I can put the kind package, and then it says okay, but I have to also provide a name with the name of to use for your generated files. And I can just do some tests here. So if I just run the same thing with test, you see first, let me just go here. It has created several files here, and this is how I set things up in my private project for now. So that's the code that we need to adjust now. But I can also see, you can also see that I have done something in my private projects where I am not just using 3 files, instead I have 2, 4, 5, 6 files. And we are going to eventually apply this in this project as well. Additionally, it tells me what I need to add to the package.swift file for the new thing to show up properly. So this is all really nice. And I just want to edit this to make this all work for our current project. So I don't want to have all these files. That's actually... we can keep this, but let's actually discard these changes. Okay, so what do we want to do? I think this is fine. This can be kept. Also the handling, the kind, things like that. But we want to create different files. So first we have an action file that this is creating. And basically, to explain why I'm doing this is if you go to a reducer, let's go to a larger reducer. So this is a larger kind of reducer. The problem is I have to scroll quite a bit, and some of these might actually have really large amount of code. And if I really have a large amount of code in here, the problem is I can't find that place with the jump bar like I can do in any other type. I can just jump around here. And that's not possible in the reducer because this is all just one initializer, so it's just all one closure. So there are no functions, there are no properties, nothing like that. And that's why I basically, in my private project, I have created this extra file that I call an action handler. This is the action file, the action handler. And in the action handler, I'm just creating functions. Like here, I'm creating functions that get the state and that return basically the effect. So I'm basically extracting things out from the reducer. And this is actually something I want to do in this project eventually as well. And I think for the new ones we create, we might already do that right from the start. But what I don't want is all these helpful error things, because these are, this is like something specific or something I haven't extracted from my project yet. So I'm just going to remove that part. Instead, we are creating a file that is called name of the new package, action handler. And I'm creating some type aliases here, so it's easier to write code here. I just call it state action and next. Next is what I'm returning, what's going to happen next. That's how I like to shortcut effect action never, which is the return type whenever what you get from a reducer by default. I have the app environment that I'm using here in this project as well, so that should be fine. I am importing foundation, composable architecture, and utility, and I believe app environment lives in utility, yeah. So we need to import that here as well. So I think that code we can keep that code for this project. Then we have the action file. So I am no longer. Oh god, let me quickly block this person. Okay. There was just somebody in my chat. Cool. So the action file. So what I am doing also in my project, instead of keeping the state and action in one file, I just separate them into separate files. So that's why we have an action file there. And here I import foundation and this helpful error thing. We don't need that for now. But a nice thing that I'm also doing is I'm automatically creating this binding action. Kennix, thank you very much for following. How are you doing? So I am automatically creating this. So what failed? What was the fail here? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for subscribing via Prime. That's very much appreciated. So great to see that. So you followed, you subscribed, and you also use the sound alert. So how are you doing? Thank you very much for that. So I was just talking about the binding action here. This is something that we have in the composable architecture, how we can easily connect, like for example, a text field with our state. And that's what I'm, and it's like cumbersome to have to create this because you have to do this, you have to do that, like bindable action, binding action. You have to connect it to the state, and it's so much small work that I basically created something for me to prevent that. And also I like to create this, keep this comment instead of warning. So the action file makes sense, the action handler makes sense. Let's also turn this into a comment. Then we have an error file that I have actually created, and I'm just going to skip that for now because we're not, or maybe we should create it, but not really using that helpful error style yet. So let's just create a simple error file that, let's say, leaf nested unexpected. So some errors are errors that are actually cached from somewhere else, and I'm basically rethrowing. So I think this structure can make sense. Let's keep that. Next we have a reducer, and the reducer is importing everything except for helpful error. We don't need that for now. So it does have an action for binding already, and we also want to add a comment here saying this redirect action. There we go. This reducer we don't need, but if we need any reducers, we're going to add them here at the top of our file. And this is the binding part still, and this is also the binding part, or part of the binding. Let's actually create it like this. Cool. And lastly, we have a state file. Again, no helpful error needed here. I am importing HandySwift because I tend to need HandySwift a lot in here, so I think we can do that here as well. I'm removing the helpful error state. Let's add the comments like this. And we have a public initializer. We have an extension, and that's why we need HandySwift, because I'm making them withable. So in my previews, I can already provide some extra fields to the state when I create them. Read up about withable if you don't know about it in HandySwift documentation. And last but not least, view file contents. Again, let's remove the helpful error part. I'm going to actually extract that into a library. That's why I'm removing it all here for now. And I'm going to write about it once it's ready. So I was showing a sheet with the error. But I think this is fine, and I think this we can remove. It's already going to be clear that this is not implemented yet, and where to add this. And I am creating a store here. Reducer, mocked. I think this is all looking correct. A white corefish appeared. Let's catch it. Okay. Having all these things set up, I think what happens here is it switches over the kind that you have reported when you run this from the command line, and it basically writes all these files. Nothing different than that, but it runs them in a sources path. And the question is this correct? In our case, sources. Yeah, it's exactly the same here. Cool. It also checks if there's already a folder. If yes, then it doesn't do anything. It just fails and reports an error. And lastly, it's basically summarizing that everything worked, telling you that you should add in the products the new library. Makes sense. In the package.swift file, insert into the targets the new target, which makes sense depending on the composable architecture. No need for helpful error here. But HandySwift SF safe symbols, that because I'm always using safe symbols. And this all makes sense. Then lastly, this is just for the helpful error. We don't need that. Let's just keep the last ending one. And that's it. This should be our creation generation file. So I will try it out now. And we were gonna create a package, and the name was, let me just look it up. We had settings categories for the name, so let me delete this. Instead, we are going to create or generate the settings categories right after the break. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, back. So yeah, we just wanted to create a generate, and it's so sunny outside actually. I'm really looking forward to having a walk right after the stream. So one last hour left here for me to go to a walk, but generate Swift package, and the name of the package was settings categories. Settings categories. So let's create exactly that. And it is running some things, and it is telling me to finish it up with these comments, but let's first have a look at what it created. So it generated this file, that file, this file, that, and that. And before I do anything, actually, or let's finish this up first. So let's add these two things. First, I should insert this into the products area of the package.swift file, exactly here. So let's add it. And it tells me to copy this here into the targets area. So let's add it to the right place here too. So with these two things set, I should actually be able to find it here, call settings categories, and there it is. I should be able to build this. So let me build, see if that builds successfully. Yes, it does, and I can now show the preview, and the preview should actually show the text settings categories in the middle of the screen. Let's see if that works. It works, so it does work, and it even uses the preview variants that we have set up before, and it's really cool. So I have created all these files without having to do anything. And the way, again, how the reducer is connected to the action handler is whenever I have something here, like func something happened, I have to provide a state that is in out, and I have to return a next. And then I can do something with the state, like change something, and then return an effect, like none. And in the reducer, I just call here, in some case, something happened. I just call action handler dot, well, what did we call it? Something happened, yeah. And I just pass it the state. And this is basically how we connect these two things together. And the advantage is here I only have one line per case, but here I have the jump bar. I can jump around in my functions, and that's like the advantage I have here with this structure. So, but we're going to add them once we need them. For now, this is the preview, and the first thing we want to do is we want to connect the settings categories view to the settings. So let's go to the reducer, and in the reducer, let's actually link the reducer. So let's say reducer.combine. Let's add this as the last reducer, and we're going to combine the settings categories reducer here, but we need to import it in the settings first. So this one here, we need access to it here. Now we should be able to import settings categories, and we should see settings categories reducer. Okay, auto completion doesn't work because I'm not in the settings. Settings categories reducer. And there's some caching issue, I guess, but this should work. And I also want to add a state for the settings. So we have a selected tab that we are binding to. I also want to have a settings categories state. It will import it for us because we clicked that. And in the initializer, we have to set it up. So we have to say now settings category state. I'm just going to call init here. So when we have now the state in the settings, and we want to connect it now. Settings categories reducer via callback, pullback, and we have to pass it all the things that it needs. So it needs to know how to pull back the state, and you can see it going from global state to settings category state. So the global state is our state here in the settings state, and to go from there to that state we just added the settings category state. That's easy. Then the same from the global action, so from settings action it wants to go to settings categories action, and we have to add the action for that. So we haven't done that yet. Let's add the action, case settings categories action. Now we should be able to just say slash settings action, settings categories action, just like that. And this is using case paths from point tree. Last but not least, we want to provide the environment that is being expected, and it expects an append, and we also have an append here, so we can just pass it along like that. And this should build now. Switch must be exhaustive. Yeah, we have a new switch case here. Which is a settings categories action, and actually we're going to just ignore that here because we don't need to handle any of these actions. So we're just breaking and saying handled by child reducer. Let's build now. And now it builds successfully. And we have basically connected the categories, the settings categories to the settings, except for one thing, and that's that we're missing to show the view here. So let's add that last thing. So if I make a preview here, we can see those two tabs, but if I run the tab, if I go here, we still see these categories, but we expect to see the settings categories. So let's implement that part. We are walking through the possible tabs here, and then we're saying I want to get the tab view for the current tab. So that's a function here, and I'm just returning always a vstack. Instead, what we want to do is we want to switch here and say over the tab and say if the tab. Let's try to auto generate that. Okay, it doesn't work. Maybe we should create a group view first because it's expecting a specific kind of view, and a group always works. So now we should be able to switch over to, we can't switch over tab because we're in a view builder context. Okay, I think I'm going to switch here. Can we switch here? Switch tab. Why am I not getting auto completion? Selected tab. The tab item does make sense, the tag does make sense, the view is the one that we want to change depending on what we're showing. So we're going to return a view, and it's going to be a different view depending on the tab that was selected. How can we make this happen? So we could create another private func, say this is the categories. Actually, it should be much simpler than that. Okay, so I'm going to say that the content view that we're showing, settings tab, categories. But if I add something here, is it going to add it here? Yes. Or is it going to add it here? Let's try it. Okay, image. Massive save symbols. Let's import it like that. Now this should actually show something. Okay, it's showing it here. So this is the content. That's interesting how this is implemented. So instead of a for each, we're going to show a different view each time. So I'm going to say vstack for the case that we have a general, and then I'm just going to add a tab item for that. So let's do these things for the general one. Okay. And the tag is general. Let's make the type explicit. This is a I think it's in the store. It's called settingState.tab. settingState.tab.general. We need the same here, the same here. Okay, this should build now. Yes, so we no longer need this. Instead, what we're going to do is for the categories tab, we're going to show a different view. So instead of this vstack, we're just going to show the settings categories view. And the initializer takes a store, so let's implement a store. And for that, we're going to say self.store scope. So we're scoping it from the current store. And we have our state that has the settings categories state. And we have an action, that's the settings action dot settings categories action. Simple as that. So we have connected the view here. And we have set the categories. The tab item is configured. I think that's it. This should present the settings categories view. Let's have a look via the previews. So let's run the preview. Let's switch the categories, and we can see settings categories now. No longer just categories, but settings categories. So it is connected properly now. And we can now switch back to settings categories. Settings categories view. Now we can continue working on this, and all these changes should show up in the settings automatically. So if I, for example, added 2 here, just to show this, if I run the Mac app, now I go to settings, preferences, I should see settings categories 2 here. So we are actually editing this view. Just want to show that. And now let's go to settings categories. And let's implement the UI here. So we might actually document here that we have set up the generate file, and we have connected everything. So we have set up a generate.swift file for new packages, plus create or generate settings categories. Set up a script file for the new packages, generate settings categories. It's not just packages, it's basically new features or modules. There we go. And Swift format, doing some autocorrection, sorting these things, sorting again. Okay, let me just check if the Xcode has crashed. I just want to check if that wrong order is in the generate file, because then we will run into this each time we do. So let's just go to the generate file and check the order of the imports. And yes, SwiftUI is being imported first. This should be here. This should be up. This too. This too. And this. Okay, we should run into this less in the future. And indenting has changed, so let's also see how the indentation of that last thing here is. 1, 2, 1, 2, yeah. Let's make it 3. Okay, this should be fixed now as well. Nice. Let's amend these changes. Cool. So we have this config. Let's also add it to Notion. I'm at settings categories. Here's the settings categories view, and let's start working on the view. So our first goal is add a feature to create new categories and hard coding the category groups for now. Let's start with that. So I want to be able to add a new category. So let's start with the most obvious thing. We will need a new category button somehow. We need to import Bodyguard. I think Bodyguard we need to import everywhere, so let's add it to the generate file actually. The resources, I mean. So resources should be here. Let's add it to the generate file as well. Like this. And it should be imported in the view. So let's import resources in the view. This is the view file. Import resources. Nice. Now we can say by the crouch.translate. And I want to add a new button that's add new category, create new category. This is the settings category screen. Create new category button dot title. And neue Kategorie. Question in German, and in English it's create new category. Let's write it big. Okay. That's the button. For the button we also, now let's build. The problem is when we build actually here, just the package, it's not going to run body crouch, so it's not going to replace yet. But we're running into an issue. Yeah, it expects a state, and I'm getting. It's expecting. No, it's not expecting a string yet. It's also expecting an action, and for the action we need to create the action. So we're just going to add here, create a new category, button pressed. And we have to handle the action in the reducer. Create new category press, and we have to forward that to the action handler. For now, I'm just going to do nothing. Let's add here not yet implemented. And now here I can just say return action handler dot create new button pressed. And here I can just say view store dot send create new action button pressed. There we go. We have connected everything together, and now the button should show up and work. So because this has not been run yet, it says the transformation failed. So we might just run this via the command line. Let's just go to open focus timer and let's just run body crouch update. That's great. And now it should work. What's going on? Oh, I have to run both. Body crouch update and SwiftUI. Now it should work. Create new category button. So we only have a button right now. We also want to show the categories that we currently have, so we have to somehow get the categories. We need access to the categories in the state. And how can we get access to the categories? So we already have a place where we're showing the categories, and that's the category selector. Let's see how we did it there. So here we have category groups, categories by group. So this is basically what we need. So we need to have both categories and category groups and categories by group. Selected group categories, that's a different thing. So I'm just going to copy these two things here into the state that we have. So we need both of these. And we will probably have to import something, so let's just go, category group is in model. So we need to link model here as well. Great, now for making these values actually available again, let's go back to how we implemented the category selector store. Is we basically passed a context here. Then we could read inside the state initializer the data from core data. So that's what we want to do maybe here as well. Let's actually copy the whole initializer. See how much we can reuse of that. So we don't need the focus timer. It's not timer related. You can remove that part. But we do want to get the context, and then it says category groups, it's fetching from the context. I think that code is fine. I think we need to import core data here. Okay, then category groups by group is empty at the start, then we walk through each group, and for each group we get the type categories. We sort them things like that. And we have this cache, the fatal error. We're going to handle this later. When app is ready for analytics or crash reporting, error occurred while trying. Yeah, these are the things that we shouldn't actually do this like that. We should have a better error handling here. And we might add an error here and deal with that. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. No selection in our case. So we can get rid of these code, and basically that should be it. That should be our state. Now we could go into our view, because whenever the state gets created, we should have something here, but we are having an error here because it expects a context. So let's pass it a context. And actually we have, I think, app.env.mocked, and this has a managed object context, so we can just use that. Did we do the same for the other view? Let's just check. Initial state. We have a state that is mocked even. Like this. Focus timer, mocked context. Oh, we have a mocked context directly, so even easier. We can just say mocked here. Nice. I don't see the point really in having this here, as this is easy enough to create. So I'm just going to delete that, or maybe let's not refactor this because I might be using this somewhere else. Anyways, back to this part. So we have a mocked here, and now we should be able to create. What is it? Do we want to have a picker? So we want to see the categories, but we also want to be able to like press edit or delete or things like that. This is the edit screen. So how can we handle this? I think I'm just going to use vstack, actually a list, and I'm just going to have in the list for each. And we're going to walk through the view stores category groups, I guess. I want to show the groups first. Oh wait, I have an idea, because we want to create the category editor here. And I think we should show tabs first for each group, right? Does that make sense? Oh no, we're going to be in a tab already, but yeah, I think I want to show tabs. So how do we implement tabs? Just tab view. Tab view gets a selection and content. Selection is selected group. And then the binding is to be created. View store dot binding. In this case, I think we can just use I think we can just use a bindable state, because that provides us the key path here, and we can just say select a group. That should make this code a lot shorter. And then we need to provide a view. Settings view, we just said here, okay, we need to provide like this tab item and tag. So we're going to have a view for the list of for each, and then we're going to go to view store, categories by group, and then the group that we have here is going to be, okay, but this is dynamic, so I have to use for each. Okay, for each view store category groups. Category, no, let's just name it group. And for each of these I'm going to have, let's just start with the text view, just stating the name of the group. And then I have to add the tab item. I was using an image here, but I'm not going to here in this case. Instead, we're just going to use the name of the group. Just do it that way, and then a tag. The tag is the group. It's actually as simple as that. Let's see what this looks like in the preview. Oh wait, I have optional title must be unwrapped. Why is this optional? Category group. Type name. Okay, wait. Category group. Yeah, that's because it's a Objective-C type. That's one of the downsides of core data, but these are non-optional fields, so they should be having values at all times. And it's building. Is it? No, build failed. Something is still wrong. Return initializer without also, yeah, these stored properties, but this one isn't, so I need a default selection. Selected group. I'm just going to go with category groups dot first. And if it is empty, it must not be empty. Yeah, let's just force unwrap here. Handle cases where no groups exist properly. Let's build now. There we go. So we have task type and project inside of here, and I actually want to see this all shown inside the settings. So in the preview, I'm actually going to say wrap this in a settings, or maybe not. Anyways, let me just see what this looks like in the whole app. Let me run the app. Maybe that's not a good idea to have a tab inside of tab view. Something's wrong here. Yeah, when we initialize this, of course, we now need to provide more. We need to provide context. That means that we need to have the context here. And that needs to import core data. Cool. Now building should fail again because we need to provide it here now where we initialize that. It is managed. And it's managed object context, of course. So here we now need to provide actually the context, and let's break this down into multiple lines, make it more readable. So this expects a context now, and our context is persistence controller.container.view context. Now the app should build. I think it's already there. So settings, categories. Not really what I expected. Okay, I'm actually not going to use a tab view. Instead, I'm going to use a picker. Config. Config. No, it's not config. Settings, categories, view. There you go. I'm just going to use a picker here. Picker, initializer, selection, content, and label. I'm missing the label. Let's just use empty view. Also, I want the picker style to be a segmented picker. Now let's run the app. Let's see what this looks like. This is more like it, so I just want them to show up at the top, so I need to add a spacer here. Yeah, still a bit too much. But yeah, that's like the first version. We can work with that. Maybe I should say actually something here, like choose the category group. Let me see what that looks like. No, not really. I want to keep it empty view instead. I'm going to use a text here saying something like settings categories dot group selector dot label. Select the group, the category group to edit. Something like that. Let's run this. Okay. Let's actually go to the settings categories so we can see the preview. Select the category. Oh, there's a typo in that localizable. Select category group to edit. House type and project. If I remove that padding, I feel like it's going to have padding due to the tab view already. Yeah, it does already have padding. So let's instead move this padding to the preview, as we're getting it from elsewhere. So in the preview at least it looks correct. Oh, Xcode just crashed. Nice. Oh, Motenai, I just saw that you wrote. Sorry, I missed that. Hi, how are you doing? You still here? Welcome to the stream. Okay, now we're seeing the preview, and I want to move the text to the left, so I'm going to say frame width, max width, max width, infinity, alignment, leading. Okay, with that in place, whenever the selection here changes, I have the selected group, and that's changing. And then I want to show below a table or a list. Yeah, a list with for each, and the view stores categories by group, and I'm going to use the selected one here, so I'm going to say view store, view store dot selected group. So this should be category, and now let's just try text. Category dot name, and tag it with category. See what this looks like. It's not building. This is an optional, yeah. Left up category. Oh yeah, categories by group. Let me just have a look. Category group, categories by group. I'm just going to force unwrap that as well. Okay, so this works. App review, body crouch, code review, open focus timer, so they are showing up at least. I have the weird white background though. Can I fix that somehow? Can I select VStack instead? Will this still work? Yeah, this works. So let's use a VStack instead of list, because list has some weird things going on, and I like to control how this whole thing looks. So let's add, it's actually, I think we're going to use an H stack. We're going to need an H stack. And let's add a padding to that. Let's align things at the top. Let's add some spacing, and the contents we already provide. Okay, that's maybe too much spacing. Or just the padding itself seems to be enough. Maybe I should reduce the padding or just get rid of it. Is that a spacing of 20? Ah, for the H stack. Oh no. No, for the H stack I want to have it for every element. So let's just do it here. Alignment is leading and spacing is 20. Okay, let's use the full width. So frame max width is infinity. Alignment leading. Let's give this a font. I guess this is title. Maybe too much. Yeah. Title 3. Headline maybe. Yeah, headline I like. We could actually make these names editable even, so we might actually want to have a text edit here. Well, let's first add the button. So I'm going to have a button that's just going to be about let's start with this. It's going to be the delete button. And actually, I think an icon is going to be enough for that. So let's go for button initializer, where I can provide a label later. And the label is just going to be an image, system symbol. Is there like a delete? Let's show add as symbols. I think trash is what I need. Yeah, it's called just trash. And it should actually be, or maybe I can tint it by giving the button. What initialize do we have? We have one with the row. Let's give it the row. How does that work? Button.init. Action label row. Action label row. Ah, that's only if I... Okay, roll doesn't work, I think. But I can say foreground color red. And the label of the button, the action of the button is going to be... Let's add that action. Delete category button pressed, and we need to provide the ID of the category, I would say. And we need to provide the category group as well. So category group, let's import import model. Category group. And maybe just category, yeah. Let's just go like that, category. So delete category button pressed inside a category group for category. I think I just need the category. It's ambiguous. I mean model.category. And now we should just be able to say view store send delete category button pressed for category, and this is the category. Let's just see if that runs just fine. Yeah, it does, but I want to have a spacer, of course. And something's wrong. Yeah, I have to add the reducer action, of course. Delete category pressed, we'll add category. Let's just copy this. Let's go to the action handler. Func. State init state category is of type null.category. Actually, this should be easy enough, but I'm going to implement it later. And let's connect it here. Create new category button. Delete category button pressed. This is the state and this is the category. Now it should build. There we go. There's a delete button. Let me also add maybe we could make this editable directly. This is the delete button. Yeah, that's it basically. I don't need any other buttons, I think. Instead, let's turn this text into a text field. And time is over. So that's basically what we're going to continue next time. We have this text here. Let's add a warning here. Turn this text into a text field. To do. And let's see what the app looks like right now. So we can now go to preferences and we can now see here categories. We can select between task type and project. It switches automatically and it basically shows everything. And there is some, like we should add some padding here. Maybe I should just do that right away. We have this V-stack. Let's just add padding, but only vertical padding. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, a little bit better. I think there is still a lot of UI improvements to be made here, but let's get it work first. And I can click that button and it will also fire. As you can see in the logs, it will fire the action, but it's not showing because I have not added debug actions. Anyways, everything is showing up. Everything is showing properly. We just need to make these editable and we have to implement the create new one as well. And that's what we're going to do next. So let's document this. Let's also commit what we have. I think this is worthy of a commit. Wait a second, I saw something there. Yeah, this F is not supposed to be there. Okay. So setup basic categories, editing view with stubbed buttons. So they don't have an implementation yet, they're just stubbed. And we have something failing here. Settings categories view, multi-line arguments violation, and also this got corrected. So let's see the violation. Fix that quickly. Arguments should be either on the same line or one per line. Oh, it's triggering because of this. So it's basically a false positive. Let's turn off this rule. Swiftland multi-line arguments. So now this should be gone. There we go. So this is what we've just done. Let's summarize this as well. And we exactly know where to continue. So add feature to create new categories. That's basically what we're working on. I want to basically continue by turn category text in category settings into an editable text field. And we want to implement create new category button and delete category button logic. So that's what we want to continue, and we want to add a new feature to new categories here as well. Fix more. So that's basically it for this stream. That's the summary. And as a reminder for everyone maybe who has joined in later, I have written a new part, the second part of the stream in open source development on Twitch. This is about my setup, how I set everything up, and this is going to be very interesting for those who are interested either in how I'm streaming or they want to stream themselves. And also just yesterday I wrote and published or finished and published the Swift Evolution Monthly second article where I summarize what basically is coming next in Swift. And I'm summarizing 7 proposals here and also linking to 12 more pitches. So definitely check that out if you're interested in what's coming next in Swift. And if you don't follow me on Twitter yet, make sure to follow. I'm just at @ghut there. And I also have 2 more subscribers since the start of the stream. That's great to hear. So I have also a YouTube channel where I'm resharing currently these streams, and I am also going to cut shorter clips with like more dedicated topics from my streams and share them here as well. So make sure to follow if you don't want to miss those. And other than that, I'm going to be back with stream next week on Friday, again at the same time. And yeah, I thank everyone who has, I think there were people who even subscribed in this channel, so thank you very much. Thank you everyone also for joining. Let me quickly have a look if there's someone who we can rate. So, doesn't look like anybody's currently streaming who we could rate, so thank you very much all for watching, and I hope you learned something along the way. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it at any point on YouTube. And thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye!